My name is Chris Rice. I am a principal technical support engineer and a designated support engineer here at Qlik. I've been with Qlik for probably about 6 years now. This is my third time doing this, so if anything goes wrong, it's safe to blame it on me at this point. I should have learned by now. My focus here at Qlik has traditionally been QlikView. It was the product we had when I started. It's the product I'm still working with mainly, but I'm broadening my horizons. I also deal quite a bit with QlikSense. Qlik Core now, if you haven't heard about that, go check it out. It's pretty cool. I deal a lot with our enterprise customers, and I'm working a lot with our knowledge-centered support, and we're actually going to be talking quite a bit about that today. So the agenda for today is about troubleshooting your QlikView and QlikSense environment. We have a special announcement, a launch of a sort, if you will. But in order to show you that launch, we're going to walk through a QlikSense scenario and a QlikView scenario. We're going to talk about knowledge-centered support, how to search what is available on our support portal. And then after we get through the scenarios and how you can troubleshoot your own system, if you're still not able to solve that, how should you present this to Qlik support so that we can solve your case in the quickest way possible? And at the end, we'll have a bunch of takeaways, including a new product for you. So getting started with troubleshooting Qlik products, what I'm showing you right now is our support portal. Well, actually, this is our Qlik website, but if I go to our support portal, which is support.qlik.com, you'll notice that URL changes, but it's much easier just to remember support.qlik.com. Once you're there, you'll want to log in the top right-hand corner, and that will give you access to the full feature of our knowledge base. If you don't log in, you still get access to a subset of the knowledge base as well as a federated search on community. So what you're going to do once you log in is use that giant search bar right in the center and search for whatever you're looking for. In this situation, we're looking for troubleshooting articles, and that very first article that we take a look at there is going to give you some basic tips and tricks, but also link out to several other articles on the knowledge base for how best to start your troubleshooting journey with Qlik. Uh, this is also what you'll use later on if you want to log a case to make sure that you've given Qlik support all of the necessary information to troubleshoot your issue the quickest. So first off, we're going to go with a QlikSense scenario. Today we're looking at QlikSense February 2018 edition. This is a single machine installation, and we're going to try to create a new user directory connector for Active Directory. So what we do for that, we go to create new, select Active Directory, give it a name, and enter in some credentials. You don't normally have to enter in the credentials. It's going to take your service account. But in case you want to, this is where you would do it under the connection tab. And once I go and click apply down at the bottom, it's going to give me several messages. So first you get successfully added, which you're thinking, great. But that's quickly followed up by two errors. The first error is saying that the connection to the root node failed, check the log file, and then the second error is saying that the UDC is not operational. Now, you may be asking yourself, why am I getting successfully added at the top, but then two errors at the bottom? And that's because we're actually doing several actions at once here. The successfully added message is basically stating that your new user directory connection has been added to the repository, but it's not exactly working, which is the next two lines there. So at this point, what would you do? It says to check the log file, but if you're not very familiar with the logs, you may not know which log file to check, or even where to look for those log files. So that's where the next piece of software comes in, and that is the QlikSense log collector. This QlikSense log collector is able to take your logs from a date range. You can select that date range, but it will automatically select today and yesterday. Then you can, if you leave the system info box there checked, it will pull all of the system info for the system that you're playing on. And then you can also take the Windows logs. The Windows logs will, you can also use those here to, in the next piece of software that we take a look at, to drill down on those like you would with the regular Windows log viewer, but with added capabilities, which you will see. So when you run the QlikSense log collector, it's going to start to collect your logs using a series of APIs, and it will give you informational messages as it does that. If you ever want additional information on what we collect, if you look down in the right-hand corner, you can see a link to find that information. After it's done collecting everything, it's going to pop up the zip file that has collected all of these logs. And this is generally where you would take this information to Qlik support, add it to your case, and the support tech would take over from there. A bit more information about the log collector is you want to run this as the service account that's running the Qlik services. You want to run it on the Qlik server. If you have multiple Qlik servers in a cluster, you will collect the local logs for the server that you run it on, as well as all archive logs. If you want local logs from the other server, you'll want to run this same collector on those servers. But what do you do with this now? You've got the logs, but you want to do some troubleshooting. And that's where this next new piece of software comes in. And that's called the Qlik Cockpit. This is brand new. We're releasing it today to you guys. We'll have a link to download this at the end. Uh, it's something that Qlik has been using internally for a few months now, and we felt it was time to share it with everyone. So you take that zip file that was created from the QlikSense log collector, you drag and drop it over into the case cockpit, and it gives you some information. Up first, if you look at the left-hand side, you have a series of menu items. Immediately, it brings up the Sense Node menu item, which allows you to see which servers are running which services, and it gives you the option to drill in to certain information like the QRS about information, your cal info, your license info, um, number of patches you have running on your system, what certificates are installed on your system. A lot of very helpful troubleshooting information. From here, you can go into the Windows logs and search those as you normally would on the Windows log viewer, but you also have additional search functions like regex, which I'll be showing you in the next couple of slides. The log collector log allows you to see what has happened during the log collection process. Everything needs a log, even a log collector. And then of course you have the log files. So what we're going to do from here is we're going to do a Control Shift F, which is do a search in file names. And that's going to bring up a different window which allows you to see all of the log files that have been collected in your system. From here, you can start to enter filters. It's going to filter on anything in the log file path that you see printed on the screen. If you look over to the left of the filter box, you'll also see an additional date filter. So you can further filter down by date from there. So in this specific instance, we're looking for what's happened with the user directory connector. I know from working with Sense previously that if I've got an issue with the UDC, that the error is going to show up in the user management log. So I'm just going to type in user management here, and it's going to pop up the logs that I have, and just click open. It immediately opens both of the user management logs that I had pulled with the Qlik Sense log selector, and opens them on two different tabs. You can see that the one that we're looking at here, as well as the other one, which you'll see in a little bit, are tabulated out. So each line, each row in the log file has its or each column has its own column on here. You can adjust those, you can move them around. It's very helpful. And what that allows us to do is to use filters. So I'm going to right click on this info level filter here, and you can immediately see several of the different filter items that we have available. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to create my own filter. I'm not really interested in info level events. I want to see errors. So I'm going to go ahead and say create the error filter, and that immediately minimizes the amount of information on my screen to only errors. Uh, so with that, I can go quickly over, look at the message that these errors are stating, and I see the same error message that showed up in the QMC, which is the connection to the LDAP root node failed, check your log file, but I can also see the log file says your password is incorrect. That means, great, I know what the issue is now. After just a few minutes worth of work, I can go fix that very easily and quickly. Um, and then, but say, for instance, you don't know that it's going to be in the user management repository. What you can do is just simply open up all of the log files. So this is the same set of logs, but a different instance. What we're going to do is just open everything. You can see it quickly opens all of the log files. You can click around them. There's a nice little file map there that you can see kind of the form and function of that log file. Um, you can also go in and create your own filter. So in this filter pane, what we can see is you can select to filter only a specific column, or you can filter all columns. You can choose what type of filter to use. So contains, start with, or regex. If you're not familiar with regex, I recommend it. It's a great tool for these types of searches. We've entered some general regex terms that are most widely used on the right-hand side there. And then on the left-hand bottom, we've got a link to a regex help page that's very helpful. Um, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to search for that error that showed up in the QMC. It's the only error that I know at this point. So I'm going to type out that, and I'm going to click apply at the bottom. And that's going to just apply to the current log file. But what else I can do is I can say apply all, and that will filter every single log that's been opened by that one error. I can quickly see that there's several of these log files that are open that are now empty because they don't have the error that I want. When what you do at this point is just close tabs until you find the right one. we're working on an improvement to this that should be out very soon that just allows you to right click and close all empty tabs, immediately bringing up the right one. It's just not quite in the product yet. But instead of closing several tabs over the next few minutes, I'm just going to jump down to the one that I know that it's in. And then I can easily see the errors and the warnings, and I can move right back over. Oh yeah, you have the close all but this as well, which allows me to go right into that. One additional feature that you have here that is not generally seen in other log collectors is the date, the time filter. So you already shown the date filter, but up next to it, you also have a time filter. And then if you right click on your screen on one of the time columns, you can immediately filter by plus or minus 10 minutes, plus or minus an hour, stuff like that, so that you get those quick filters to see exactly what you want to see at the right time. Next up is our QlikView scenario. In this situation, we are using QlikView 12.10 SR9. I've noticed some general slowness in the access point, and then the QVS restarted, and I want to know what's going on. So while the Qlik Cockpit was built for Qlik Sense, you'll see that in a lot of the nomenclature used. It can be used with any log file, really. It's expecting a zip. So if you're going to use it for something other than Qlik Sense, you'll want to zip the logs that you want to read and then drag and drop them over. Uh, QlikView does also have a log collector, but only for 1120 and before. The log collector that we had before does not work for 12. We are working on building that into the Qlik Sense log collector, which at that point we would need a different name for it, I guess. So if anyone has any bright ideas for names, let us know in the comments there. We're always open to suggestion. But like I said, you want to zip this log file first, and then you're going to drag and drop it over into the case cockpit. You can open that and view it just like you could with the Qlik Sense logs. And then one other cool feature is this color by filter type of thing. So I can see this rather long log. I want to see kind of frequencies of errors. So I'm going to color those a nice magenta color. And that way I can see visually how frequently I get an error in this situation. Um, and then I know that the errors are probably related to the slowness in general, but I'm trying to narrow down on that restart as well. When QlikView restarts, it throws a bunch of standard messages, and one of those messages is a NUMA detection. And I really like the word NUMA. I don't know why. It's just such a fun word to say over and over again, NUMA. So that's what I'm going to look for. I'm going to look for NUMA because that's going to tell me when my server restarted. And once we find that, we color that a different color. I think I'm going to go with cyan this time. And now I've done a couple of things. If I remove this filter, I can see frequency of errors in the logs coupled with when the restart happened in relation to those errors. And that should give me a pretty clear indication of what's happening within this log and in this system. So as I scroll down, I see just a bunch of shared file errors. And then there's some white space, and there's my NUMA. So what exactly has happened here? Like I am getting a bunch of shared file errors, but there's a definite break between those errors and the restart of the service. And if I look several lines up, I see a warning about the working set. which that means my memory is overloaded, if you will. I'm running out of memory. Um, if I don't know that though, I can easily copy that line to a clipboard, grab some pertinent data off of it, such as, the error or the warning in this case, working set virtual memory, and take that back over into our support portal and search the knowledge base for it. So once again, as in last time, I'm not logged in to the knowledge base, but I can still search. I can still get results, but the results are going to be limited by my user. As a guest user, I can only see some articles that are publicly consumable. You as a customer or as a partner even have a much wider range of articles that you can see. I know that there is an article about virtual memory in this knowledge base, but because I'm not logged in, I can't see it. But what I can see are the results from Qlik Community, for instance. So if I go into this post from Qlik Community, I can see other users who have had the same issues. I can even create my own thread on here and get help from the community. So this is a very easy from error to log file collection to viewing the log file, getting the pertinent errors, and searching our knowledge base to figure out what's going on and even possibly get help from Qlik community. But next step, say all of that doesn't work and you need to log a case with Qlik support. Uh, we are that is what we're here for, is to help you, and we want to help you solve your issue as quickly as possible. So in order to do that, we want you to come into that case with a bunch of information already set up, such as what is your issue about? Please tell us which specific product you're dealing with, the symptoms that you're seeing, and what are you actually expecting. For instance, if you're saying the QMC is taking a long time to load, or the access point is taking a long time to load a specific QVW, define long time. Like, do you mean 10 seconds, or do you mean 2 minutes, or do you mean 10 minutes? And what is that in relation to? Like, are you seeing that it takes 2 minutes to load and you're expecting 1 minute to load? Are you seeing that it takes 2 minutes to load and you're expecting 2 seconds? There's a wide range of possibilities of what can be happening, and you being as specific as possible when coming to us really helps us narrow down that range so we can get you to a resolution more quickly. And also your license. Please bring your license with you. Then of course error messages, which if you've gotten to the point of logging a case with us, hopefully you've got a firm grasp on the error messages and have a lot of information to give us there. Next, who is affected by the issue? Is it a single person or is it the entire company? Is it maybe users on a specific LUN in your network or users in a specific office of your network? Uh, is it users who use only one browser and users who use a different browser don't have the issue? Please be as specific as possible when filling out the who portion. Next, where have you seen the issue? Do you see this when you go to the hub or the newsstand or on QlikView.com? Maybe you see this issue in our support portal. When does the issue occur? Has this been occurring frequently for several weeks? Did it just start today? How often does it occur? Does it occur in any consistent frequency, such as every hour Or does it happen chronically, meaning a lot, but there's no specific time frame to it? These are all very important questions to answer because once again, they narrow down the scope of what could be causing the issue. Then how? What have you done to solve the issue so far? Like we said before, if you're at this point, you've probably got a bunch of, you've got a firm grasp around the issue and you've got the errors, but tell us what you've done so far because we don't want to have to redo all of your steps because that takes more time for you to get to a resolution. Uh, so please let us know what steps you've taken and the results of those steps. Even if the result was I didn't find anything, that's more information than we had previously. And then lastly, why does the issue occur? I mean, this is really just to get the word why in there, but we want to know what your feeling is about the issue. You are the administrator for this environment. You've got most likely a better idea of the environmental structures and what's changed recently and stuff like that than we do going into it. So getting your gut feeling, or even not just gut, but educated guess as to what may be happening and using us as a resource to help you confirm that is perfectly acceptable, and we're more than happy to help in those situations. All of this is taken from that article that I showed you at the beginning. So please dig into that, use the links out to other articles and get more information there. So key takeaways from today's thing is download our case or Qlik Cockpit. It's a great tool. We're rapidly developing it. I was just talking with the developer like an hour ago about new features that we wanted to put in. Give us your feedback on that. Give us your feedback on this event, on the articles that we showed you before. We're really trying to make our knowledge base very complete for you so that if you go on there and search for something, you will find what you're looking for. And if you don't find what you're looking for, then we use that information to create the article that you were looking for. That way the next person finds it. We don't want to have multiple issues come through that could have been solved by an article. Don't be afraid of the logs. They're there to help you. And there's the link for the Qlik Cockpit. It will be updated rapidly. So I would suggest you download it today, play around with it, but next time you want to use it, download it again. We'll eventually get an automatic update thing in there, but this is beta. This is rapidly improving. So please give us your feedback because that helps us improve it faster. That's it from me. It's time for Q&A. All right, so looking at the questions, I've got if the log of a QVW task does not include any errors, but the task failed, what is the cause? How can it be avoided? That's a great question. If you get a failed task, but the log, well, there are multiple logs. So first off, make sure you're looking in all the logs, which now you can use the Qlik Cockpit to do a federated search over all of the logs for that time period. And I'm sure that if it failed, you will receive an error somewhere, and just put that error into our knowledge base, see what shows up. On that log collector, don't we need to add the path for the current and archive logs? No, we don't. We use APIs to read where you have those, and it does all that stuff automatically. So we're just trying to make it as simple as possible for you. Where can I download the latest log connector version? Yeah, that was on that last slide there, and it It's going to be on the article that we create for this recording. Um, Talking about KCS, these recordings go into an article that links out so you can review this stuff later. How do I open a help ticket if I need assistance? On the support portal, the same one I showed you where our knowledge base is, uh, if you look over on the right-hand side, there's a little link that says need help or something like that. Just click on that and you'll be directed to the portion of the website where you log a case. Does Qlik Cockpit work with QlikView version 12? Yes, I mean, it works with everything, right? It's just a log reader and analyzer. You don't even necessarily have to use it with Qlik products, but that's what we built it for. Can inputting logs be shown? Yes, those can be shown as well. Oh, I missed how or where you run the log collector program. Yeah, sorry, I guess I skipped over that part. I already had it running on my computer. It's an exe. So you'll download a zip file. The link that we showed earlier is to a zip file. In that zip file, there's an exe. You just run that from your local computer. Well, you run it on the server that you want to collect logs from. The same goes for the case cockpit. It's a exe that you run. Does the log collector collect in-printing logs? Not yet. That because we're doing this in a public format now, we're going to be opening up the community to suggest improvements. It's something we've been doing in sprints here. But as you have improvements like reading in printing logs, we'll add that to the improvement list. We'll probably send out a survey, and whatever gets upvoted the most, gets fixed within reason, of course. What is location of log collector? Actually, that's another important thing. With the newer versions of Qlik Sense, it is embedded in Qlik Sense under utilities for the install path. But that is a static version, of course. And since this is both the log collector and the case cockpit are something that we are rapidly improving, we recommend that you download the latest version. Once we get the auto update stuff worked into that, it won't be as much of an issue. But for now, just constantly download the latest version whenever you're trying to use them.
Hey, Chris, could you flip back to the previous slide? There are a lot of questions just asking for that path. I figured we'd go ahead and show it on screen while people are listening.
In a multi-node environment, should we have the Qlik cockpit in each of our nodes or just the central? So the Qlik cockpit is just the reader. You only need that in one location, and it doesn't even have to be on one of the nodes of your environment. It could be on your desktop. You just have to have a location where you can pull the zip files it creates down to. The collector, on the other hand, it will collect log files from the local machine that you have run it on, as well as the archive logs for the entire environment. So in a multi-node system, if you're not sure which node you're having the issue on, go ahead and put it in all of them. It's going to be the best way to go about it. But if you are sure, go ahead and run it in all of them, because that way we get not only the Qlik Sense logs, but the Windows information for each of those nodes. And that can be very helpful in unbalanced load environments to kind of determine where a bottleneck may be.
Okay, Chris, we got time for one more question.
Does the cockpit work on Mac? No, it is an exe, so it's Windows only right now.
Thank you, and we hope everyone enjoyed this session. Thank you to Chris for presenting. We appreciate getting experts like Chris to share with us. And the thank you screen. So once again, thank you very much and have a great rest of your day.